All right, let's talk about the hardest worker in your home. And no, I'm not talking about you after a long week. I'm talking about that machine that just hums along in the background, keeping you cool in the summer and warm in the winter, right up until the day it suddenly quits. Yep, we're diving into your HVAC system, and we're going to uncover the secret battles it's fighting that you probably never even see. So picture this. It's the absolute hottest day of the year, a real scorcher, and your AC gives up. Crickets. Just silence and sweat. You're probably thinking, just my luck. But what if I told you it's almost never about luck? A breakdown like that, it's usually the final white flag after a long, silent war. And today, we're going to expose the hidden enemies that are attacking your system right now. Okay, Section 1, Bowie's Climate versus your HVAC. To really get what's going on, we've got to go to the front lines, and our source material points us to the perfect case study, a place called Bowie, Maryland. Turns out the local climate there is a relentless enemy, hitting HVAC systems from 4 different directions. So, enemy number 1 is just extreme humidity. In the summer, it gets so thick, it's like your AC is trying to run a marathon underwater. See, it's not just trying to cool the air, it's also got to work overtime to wring out all that heavy, sticky moisture. That constant double duty puts a ton of strain on the heart of the system, the compressor, wearing it out way faster. And then, of course, winter hits back. Enemy number 2 is this brutal freeze-thaw cycle. Think about it. Water gets in, freezes, expands, then thaws, over and over. It's like a slow-motion crowbar prying at your outdoor unit. This constant stress weakens the metal, causing these tiny invisible cracks, which can lead to a slow, silent bleed of refrigerant. Okay, here's an enemy you would never think of, the ground itself, heavy clay soil. This stuff acts like a giant sponge, holding on to moisture right up against your home's foundation. And where does that dampness go? It can actually creep into your ductwork, creating this perfect, hidden, 5-star resort for mold to grow. Yikes. And just when you think you're in the clear, spring shows up with pollen. So much pollen. It's basically like your AC unit is having a massive allergy attack. The outdoor coils get completely clogged with all that gunk. And get this, that alone can slash your system's efficiency by a whopping 25%. That's like trying to run a race while breathing through a coffee stirrer. Your AC is just suffocating. All right, on to Section 2, common home comfort problems. So, we've got this war raging outside your house, right? Well, the casualties, they start showing up inside. Let's talk about the telltale signs that your HVAC is actually losing the fight. First up, frozen coils. You look outside and your AC unit is literally encased in a block of ice on a 90-degree day. Now, you might think, wow, it's really working hard. Nope, it's actually suffocating. That ice is a desperate SOS signal. It's screaming that either the airflow is totally blocked or it's running low on refrigerant, which is basically the lifeblood of the whole system. Or how about this one? Uneven temperatures. You know the feeling, right? One room is an icebox and the room right next to it is a sauna. A lot of people just write that off as a quirk of an old house. But it's not. It's often a sign that your home's arteries, the ductwork, are leaking precious cool air straight into your attic. Or it could point to an even bigger problem. Your whole system might be the wrong size for your house. And this one's a real head-scratcher. High indoor humidity. The air just feels sticky, damp, even though the AC is running and it feels cool. So what's the deal? Well, ironically, your AC might be too powerful. It's like a sprinter who blasts through the finish line. It cools the air so fast that it shuts off before it has time to do its other crucial job, pulling all that moisture out of the air. So let's say your system is sending out these distress signals. You've hit that big crossroads every homeowner dreads. This brings us to Section 3, repair, maintain, or replace. What's the right call? And maybe, was there a way to avoid this whole mess in the first place? Okay, just look at these numbers. They speak for themselves. If you basically ignore your system, you might get 10 to 12 years out of it. But with regular maintenance, a little bit of TLC, you could be looking at 15, even 20 years. You're practically doubling its life. That's a huge deal, and it all boils down to just a little preventative care. But what if you're past prevention and staring at a big, scary repair bill? How do you decide? Well, our source gives us a really handy tool for this. It's called the $5,000 rule. It's simple math, really. You just take the age of your system and multiply it by the cost of the repair. If that number you get is more than 5,000, it's probably smarter financially to start thinking about a replacement. Now, if there's just one number you remember from this whole discussion, I want it to be this one, 85%. Let that sink in. According to the source, 85% of all HVAC breakdowns could have been prevented. They aren't strokes of bad luck. They're the result of small, fixable problems that were ignored until they snowballed into massive, expensive disasters. Which brings us to Section 4, the science of sizing. And we need to talk about this because we're about to tackle maybe the biggest, most common myth in the entire HVAC world, the idea that bigger is always better. It sounds right, doesn't it? But trust me, it's a trap, and it's a recipe for a really uncomfortable home. So how do you get it right? Well, the industry gold standard is something called an ACCA Manual J calculation. The easiest way to think about it is like getting a custom tailored suit, but for your house. A real pro doesn't just look at square footage. They dive deep into everything: your insulation, your windows, which way your house faces, even local climate data. And listen, if a contractor just eyeballs it and gives you a size, that is a major red flag. Because this is what happens when you get it wrong. It's a real Goldilocks problem. If the system is too big, it blasts cold air, cools the house way too fast, and then shuts off. On, off, on, off. That constant cycling wears out the compressor and leaves you feeling cold and clammy because it never dehumidifies. If it's too small, well, it's the opposite problem. It runs all the time on hot days, never quite gets the job done, and your energy bills just go through the roof. You need the one that's just right. And this right here, this quote, is the key to the whole puzzle. Air conditioners must run at least 15 minutes per cycle to dehumidify properly. That's the magic number. It needs that much time to get the moisture out of the air. If your system is oversized, it'll hit the temperature in like 5 or 10 minutes and shut off. It never reaches that 15-minute mark. And the result? A room that's technically cool, but feels damp and just not comfortable. All right, so you're getting pretty smart about how your HVAC works, but what happens when you actually have to pick up the phone and call for help? Let's get into our last section. Section 5, what to ask your pro. I want to give you the tools you need to spot a real expert and avoid the amateurs. A truly professional service call shouldn't have any mysteries. It should look just like this. Step 1. They communicate. You get a call when they're on their way, and a uniformed tech shows up in a marked vehicle. Step 2. They diagnose, then they price. They do a thorough check and give you a written upfront price before they touch anything. And Step 3. They fix it, and then they test it. After you give the okay, they do the work and then run the system to make sure everything is perfect. No surprises, no hidden fees. And here's a little mental checklist you can use. Are they EPA certified? That's not a suggestion, it's federally required. Do they give you that upfront flat rate pricing in writing? Super important. Do they offer a real warranty that covers not just the parts, but the labor too? And are they focused on finding the root cause, not just slapping a Band-Aid on the symptom? These aren't just nice things to have. This is the bare minimum you should expect. So, as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with this one question to think about for your own home. Is your HVAC system just working hard, or is it working smart? Because now you know the difference. And understanding that difference, well, that could save you a ton of money, a lot of sweaty nights, and a whole lot of headaches down the road. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.